Hello there, fellow citizens of the internet. My name is Moses, and this is the Moses Kabandana Podcast. I have here with me Ross Barrington, a friend of mine from college.
So,
And Ross, make an introduction.
hi, my name is Ross Barrington. Currently suffer from ADHD, so that's kind of, I guess, what we're going to be talking about today, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. The main overarching topic for today is ADHD, right? And more specifically, like if you have ADHD and or a severe form of ADHD, how do you what is that to begin with, and how do you go about it, like managing it on a day to day? Because
Yeah.
I assume that no one is out there asking to have ADHD. So, well, let's just start with that. Like,
What is it?
what is it?
Okay, so ADHD is basically, first off, just a lack of dopamine in your brain. So, like, Moses, like, say you complete a task, you feel good about that, right?
Yeah.
But say, like, I want to do a task and it's boring as absolute frick to me. Like, I'm trying to push through it, but, like, my brain is like, nah, dog, this doesn't give me dopamine. Go over here, play video games.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of like you really have to find a way to. The simple explanation is you have to find a way to gamify things. Because, I don't have that base level dopamine being released in my brain to get stuff done or to force myself to do things I need to do.
Is that like in the sense of you don't have the motivation to start doing things, or like the like being able to, like, once you have started something, to stick with it and see it through?
It's kind of a bit of both. It's like really hard to explain. The best way I can describe it is it's like I don't know. Have you ever had to do a task that's really hard and you're like, man, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's like even if it's the simplest little things, if I do not find it enjoyable, it's like that.
Okay. Okay. And when did you figure out that you have ADHD? Like, I guess not like legally, no, medically, like that you found out that it's a thing for you.
I think when I was 7 years old, my mom. I grew up in a really small school district that just didn't really want to help me. They just more wanted to put me in a special room, saying, "Okay, we don't know what to do with them. Let's put them over here."
Yep. Yep.
Luckily, I had an amazing tigeress mom, and she really kind of forced me to go get. Well, she had the means, and she kind of forced them to help me, and as well as got me testing in Dallas, Texas, and
Yep.
I was diagnosed with ADHD and dyslexia. Um, ADHD was kind of a no-brainer because, I always had trouble, like, uh, we'll talk about symptoms probably at some point, but one of the symptoms is I always had, like, huge energy drain, staying focused for long periods of time really just, like, destroyed me, and on top of that, like, I was, another thing that's really common with ADHD is you usually have, like, double whammies, so, like, dysgraphia, dyslexia.
Okay. So it always comes accompanied with something.
No, not always, but it's very common.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, like, as a kid, how did that play into making friends and not making friends in the playground? Like, how does that translate in a real life kid?
Um, so the one big thing I could think of, because I really didn't notice it until about like junior high school level. Like,
Okay. Okay.
like I didn't understand it back then, but now that I've gotten older, and you're like, oh man, I understand this now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But growing up, I had never really liked a lot of sports, so like, yeah, I might have wanted to try something like basketball, baseball, or whatever, but
Yeah.
it was like, man, that like, yeah, and I would have a little dopamine rush to like, oh, this is fun, let's do this for a while. But then once the dopamine rush wore off, I just dread going to practice, and I'm like, man, I don't want to do this anymore. And
So, but like specifically when it comes, like, when it came to playing around with other people and try to find common ground or making friends, did that interfere with that, or is just not really?
I wouldn't say not really.
Okay.
Generally, it doesn't affect your personality too much. So like that's the good thing about ADHD. It does give you some random quirks that you do have to learn to worry about, but again, kind of I didn't really notice it till high school, when I can go into depth in that if you wish.
Okay. Yeah. Because I remember when I met you in LA.
Yeah.
During a study program there.
Yeah.
And we've been roommates. We were roommates for 3 months.
Yeah.
Me, you, and JJ. 3 dudes, 1 room.
We were all in like one little room with like it was more like a hostel than a room.
Yeah. Good times, man. It's crazy. Like it's been 3 years.
5.
Wait, it's been 5 years since then?
Yeah.
Dude, that is insane.
Dude, I know.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
We're getting old, man.
Yeah, no. The main reason we're here is to like send our boy off to the great hall of weddings.
I thought you were gonna say the great beyond. We're now in a hotel. We're here for JJ's wedding. JJ's the other guy that I was our roommate as well in LA. We're here in Wisconsin for his wedding, so we just decided to hop on this podcast and share this his experience, Ross's experience with ADHD. So before we get like too sidetracked on this, academically, how did ADHD play a role into your academic performance? Like also like in high school and in college, and to see if there was a difference in those two.
So high school and college, not much difference with grades, but there was a clear day and night difference once I started getting treatment for ADHD and dyslexia. I got on Ritalin, I think. Yeah. And that helps me focus like really hardcore. I mean, like I could hear a fly fart. That's how focused I was.
Okay.
But like at the same time, like it was it was very draining. So like the downside of taking those meds is it essentially is like giving yourself a shot of legal, I think, coke. I think you're wired, you're all over the place. But after that, the crash happens and you're just exhausted.
When did you start taking meds?
I think 8.
8th grade?
Yeah.
Or 8 years old?
8 years old.
8 years old. Okay. And at the time you weren't quite sure. Did you know why you were taking the meds?
I just knew that my brain didn't function the same as other kids, and I was just like, my mom was a pharmacist. She works with medicine all the time, so I'm just like, she knows what she's doing probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and I took that, and I thought like I had it under wraps and stuff like that, but well, first I just want to go into like grades because you're asking about that. So like after that, I was able to focus a lot better. Like I was able to, and along with the other help my mom got me to handle my double whammy. I was able to like really improve. Like I think I was in 4th grade at the time, and I was still at a 1st grade like education level. That's how far my school had gotten me behind. I literally launched myself to 6th grade within like a course of a year.
That's insane. That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
So did you like did it help you focus more intensely, or did it help you focus intensely and for a prolonged period of time? Both.
It also helps with another problem with ADHD is you have I guess like say you just told me something.
Yeah.
And then so automatically I'll forget it and be like, what was that again?
Okay.
So like it also helped me like retain, I guess. I still have that to an extent, but when I'm on medicine versus off, it's a day and night difference.
Yeah. And how did that play with dyslexia?
So dyslexia is first off, dyslexia. If anyone doesn't know what it is, it's essentially like you have a really hard time reading and writing. Like language skills just do not come easily to you.
Yeah.
So like there's different types. Like for mine, it's just like focusing hardcore on this thing for a long period of time really hurts my brain. So like I cannot read a book just because that's an ADHD thing. Like I just can't sit down long enough to do it. I used to be able to, but I only think I read for about maybe 1 year, and then after that I was like, I don't like books anymore.
Dude, I don't like books either. Or like I don't know if it's dyslexia, but I used to have this thing. Well, still do, a little less intensely. But so like if I'm reading a page, for example, the last word on that page, right? Let's say it took me a minute to read the entire page.
Yeah.
The last word of that page would take me like 50 seconds, 30 seconds. It like I would continue to read the last word over and over and over and over again up to the last syllable, but without like fully like reading the last syllable. So like my brain would be like, we're not done reading this page yet because we haven't finished to say this last word. So I don't know if that is like dyslexia, but like whatever that is, it's to a lesser degree now. But yeah, there was a point where like, and I'm like super slow at reading. Started reading late and whatnot, but yeah, that just I never like looked more into this thing of like not being able to like finish the last word with ease, you know.
Yeah.
So
Well, that could be a form of it. Let's see. I know for me, like if I read too long, like words will just start spinning around on me. So like,
okay,
a funny example that happened to me once when I was driving a long time is like when you go into cities and you see population,
yeah.
I saw poop.
So words are literally doing some bubbly bop up and down.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's nuts. It's, I mean, I don't know much about the brain, and I'm like a bit more like fascinated. Somebody's starting to vacuum. I'm a bit like fascinated with it because it's like it's we're both looking at the same word.
Yeah.
Yet for you, some of those words are moving around.
Yeah.
Some of those letters are moving. That is just so that must have made like reading and comprehension and stuff like insanely hard. Like
Yes. Yes.
yeah. For test taking, did you like end up needing like more time?
Yeah, yeah. Definitely needed more time. As I got older, I don't know what happened. I got good at memorizing or something like that. I don't really know.
Yeah.
But I kind of taking more time was just more optional, and I was like, okay, but like you get more time on that test. When are you not going to take that? You know?
Right, right, yeah. I was not smart enough to request like more time because in when I was taking the ACT, for example, I was still not like verbally verbally I was fluent in English, but as far as like reading and comprehension, I was still having to translate some of those words from English to Portuguese in my head and then translate it. It ended up needing like way more time, but I never like asked for more time. So I think for the ACT you had like 1 hour for each subject. Like the whole session is like 4 hours. I don't remember exactly, but all I remember is like during like the math portion or like the biology portion, like by the time I'm halfway through the test, well, the time's up, and then I have to turn it in, and it's like, man, it was not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, come on.
Yep.
Yeah.
I should have asked for more.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know if I even knew that was a possibility, or I was just too proud to be like,
Yeah.
yeah, I could go ask for more time, but I'm not gonna do it.
Well, you could have done it, but I think you would also have to have like for me, like anytime I went to a new college or new school, I'd have to like provide them documentation that I have this. Like this is not me just wanting to be a lazy kid. Like this is literally me having this. It is something wrong with my brain that I cannot control.
Control. Yeah. Did you end up having to move schools because of lack of accommodation?
So my mom actually yanked me out. I think around third or fourth grade. I can't remember exactly when, because again, like I was learning nothing there. It was literally like, I think I actually had my principal say, look, he'll graduate by the cusp of his teeth, but after that he'll find a trade. Which, don't get me wrong, trades pay well. No disrespect to trades, but like, I feel like that was kind of disrespectful the way he said that.
Yeah.
But essentially that was kind of letting us know that he wasn't gonna do anything to help. So
okay.
Again, my mom being the tiger-ass warrior woman she is, pulled me out, and she had the means to afford private tutors for me. And,
okay. Yep.
Then I met up with a specialist that kind of like showed me how to like do different things. Like one thing I really had trouble with is like math. So like I learned this thing called touch math to where, so like say there's a 3 right here. I would tap 1, 2, 3. to make numbers and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I learned a lot of tricks and tips from that. And eventually, like again, I launched from like first grade to sixth grade. So like when sixth grade hit, I went to sixth grade and I actually got onto a few honors awards. So that was pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And you were still on these meds.
Yeah, still on the meds.
Okay. And did you stay on them until like are you still on them to this day, or like did you at some point like stop taking them?
I've had to get back on them recently, unfortunately.
Yep.
I around 25 I had to stop taking them for a little bit, but I don't know, just like I'm not gonna go too much into this, but like I went to a really difficult time in my life, and yeah, kind of after going through that time, and then I traveled here to Wisconsin to help the boy that we're currently here to see off get married.
Yep.
You know, then but like after that I had met a guy that was like, "Hey yo, you need a job?" And like it was kind of a weird story ever. Like that's the story for another day. But the short bit of it is I stayed at a guy's Airbnb, and he's like, "I like the cut of your jib. Do you want a job?" Yeah, so like that's kind of how that happened. But unfortunately, the job just ended up like being too much for an ADHD person. At least this with the severity that I had it. Like I could just not, like, it's a simple job. You just enter data in, look around, maybe send some marking materials out, but it's the same thing over and over again. Like copy, paste, right. Copy, paste, right.
So there's nothing that's novel for your brain to stay engaged.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just not good for my brain. I got to the verge of being fired, like really bad. So I had to get back on meds just to like focus. And yeah, so that was kind of like it's like so essentially I was off from 2 years, but they had to get right back on them.
Yep. Oh man, do you know of any? Are there any like not long term, like meds that you can take for a short period of time and then not be on them for a long time?
Unless you can change the chemistry in my brain, probably not.
Okay. What if there was like some Elon Musk stuff where they went out where they implanted something in your brain and like what is it, Neuralink? Yeah, Neuralink. What if Neuralink like did something where it would like I don't know, rebalance the chemistry of it? I don't know what I'm saying at this point, but you know what I mean.
I get what you're saying. Get what you're saying. So biohack me.
Yeah, would you hop on that?
Ethically, probably not. Just because just like this is me as a person. Like I don't know. Like I just don't trust like altering yourself with technology. I just don't trust that.
Okay.
Like, but that's a whole nother bag of worms. We're here talking about ADHD right now.
Yep.
But I would be open to any other treatments that like could rebalance the chemistry in my brain. But problem is ADHD is also very genetic.
Yeah.
And growing up, my dad had my dad really had a hard time maintaining jobs where he had to have lots of responsibility. We talked about my dad a little bit, but and I'm not gonna go into him too much here either. But essentially he got fired from almost every job that he's ever had in his adult life.
Okay.
And it's not like he's a bad employee, but it's like essentially he could not handle the level of responsibility, and kind of I feel like that was passed on to me, and kind of also looking back at my dad's side of the family and seeing kind of like how like whoa they are. It kind of makes sense that like I would have a disability possibly from that side.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh man, so that's a great segue into like dealing with things that were just given to us that we didn't ask for, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like, there's probably like plenty of us that have either genetically or otherwise just got dealt a certain type or amount of cards that we don't really want or desire. They just came to us, and some of us may not know how to like navigate the world with these cards. So how Like, what do you think about it? Like, has that made you angry? For like the fact that you didn't ask to have this extreme level of ADHD, you didn't ask for it, but at the same time you still have to navigate the world like everybody else. So like, yeah, like that sounds like hella unfair. And like, how do you process that?
Well, I kind of grew up in a very small Texas town,
Okay.
and a lot of people had the mentality to just rub some dirt in it. Nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if it's correct philosophy,
Mm,
but it's
mm,
philosophy that helps me out the most. I was born with it. I got to work with what I got.
yeah.
There's not much I can do with that. But I can learn what I am good at, and I can learn how to, let's say, I guess, mediate some of the symptoms, and also understand what what my realms of limitations are.
Yeah. Yeah. What are the symptoms for
Um,
ADHD for you?
so first off, just it depends on what type you have. There's two
Okay.
different types.
Okay.
There is hyperactive, which is like you're all over the place, like you can't sit
Yeah.
still. You're
Mm, mm,
like just random things like kind of like what I'm doing now.
yeah.
Or B, there's inattentive, which is like if it doesn't interest me, it's like again trying to push a boulder up a hill for me.
Okay. Okay.
Mine's more inattentive. Like so in other
Yeah.
words, like if I just absolutely hate what I'm doing, it's like for you, Momo, let's say like you were writing a paper,
Yeah.
like you can probably just crank it out and be okay. But for me, it's like literally like I gotta start like pretty much the day it's assigned to me, so I can actually like push through it because like it's like again me continuing to have to push a boulder just
Okay.
to get it done.
Yep. Yep.
Also, another symptom of it is so like these are weird symptoms. But and I don't know if everyone has this, but this is kind of what's been common in my research. Whenever we were in LA, you made jokes at me that I slept all the time, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So apparently, energy deficit is a huge thing. Like
Okay.
yeah, so like because essentially my brain has to work 3 times harder to maintain focus or stay up.
Mm,
It
mm,
has to constantly be, it's like it makes me constantly tired or
yeah.
able to get tired easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like even though I should have the energy levels of like a 21-year-old or 25-year-old or 24-year-old at that time,
Mm, mm.
I technically had the energy levels of a 30-year-old. You
Yeah.
know,
Do you know if like how much nutrition plays a role into that energy deficit?
yes, yes.
Okay.
You very much have to eat a high protein diet, which is kind of like what I've been trying to
Oh
do.
yeah, you were talking about that
Yeah,
yesterday.
yeah.
Okay.
So you have to
Oh.
really eat a high protein diet. You have to eat. If you eat healthier, it definitely does help mitigate some symptoms.
Okay.
Another
Mm.
thing I think ADHD people have is trouble waking up. Like,
Mm.
essentially, our brain is still working while we're sleeping. So, like, like say I woke up and I'm like, oh man, I just woke up. Like most
Mm.
people just wake up and they're like, oh man, just woke up.
Yeah.
I'm fully rested. But for me, it's like I just got woken up from a huge good ass REM sleep. You know?
Okay. You're like, oh, I want to go back there.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Huh.
like it is not uncommon for me to like wake up at like 6 a.m. then like fall asleep till 12 p.m.
Mm.
and still feel tired.
Still feel tired. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, so what are some hints, tips, and tricks for someone who might have the same level of ADHD that you do, and how can they go about like managing the day-to-day tasks? Because the day-to-day tasks might require like to be attentive, might
Yeah.
require some things that are a lot tougher for them to do. So what are some of the hints, tips, and tricks that you use for yourself that have worked for you?
Um, First thing is being very aware of how much you can handle on your plate at the time. Like,
Okay.
do not overbook yourself.
Okay.
Like, I know it's in human nature. Like, we want to drive, we want to be perfect, we want to be like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but do not do that because if you try putting too much on your plate, you'll end up failing all of them. That's kind of the unfortunate reality of at least ADHD for how extreme I have it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really have to be aware of like, okay, what can I handle, and then also give myself like a lot more time to do that task
Yeah.
than a normal person would have. Because like, I don't know if some days like my brain will work or be functioning with me better,
Yeah.
or sometimes like it'll just decide to like essentially the chimp in my brain that's running it will decide to just go around and be like, nah, man, I'm throwing poop today.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll sorry for the shenanigans, but you know me.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's one thing. Next thing is medication. Though medication's not always an option for everybody, so there are little tricks to maintain focus. So like, say, if you ever see me do this,
as you're tapping around your face or tapping on your palm.
If you see me doing that, that's me trying to stay focused during what you're talking about because like my brain's trying to fly away.
Yeah.
And this is me saying, no, stay here.
For those that are only listening and not watching, Ross he's got his two index fingers, his pointer and his middle finger tapping on his wrist of the opposite hand, or on the temple, on the side temple of his head, and you're saying that this continuous tapping is a way of trying to maintain the concentration with the task at hand. Okay.
There's an article on it. I don't exactly. My mom sent it to me, and I was like, I'll just try it.
Yeah.
And then I tried it, and I was like, oh, this actually kind of works.
Kind of works. Okay. Huh, dude. Like, remember, like 2 days ago, we were. This might be TMI for some of y'all, but I went into the bathroom and I was taking a piss, and a thought entered my head, right? and the thought was, how hot is my urine, right? And I was like, well, I'm not gonna answer that. I didn't go after this thought. It just came into my head, so I'm just gonna not address it. Yeah. But then my brain is like, hey, no, we're not gonna let that go right away yet. How hot is your feces as is coming out? Is it like the same temperature is it the same as your internal temperature, or is it hotter? And I was like, now I'm engaged. And this is like halfway through the pissing, right? So I walk out of the bathroom and I'm like, yo, Russ, how hot are feces as they come out? He's like, I don't, what's your problem? Like,
okay, so funny enough, that's actually an ADHD thing too.
Yeah?
Yeah, like everyone has it to an extent, but like random triggers it's like ADHD people tend to be a little bit random. So and I think there's been times I've just like randomly said something, you're like, what, bro?
Yeah, where does that come from? Yeah. So yeah, like occasionally, like I will have thoughts that will enter my head but I've kind of developed to some degree the ability to distinguish the thoughts that involuntarily enter my head versus the ones that I'm actively like thinking of. So this one just came out of nowhere. It wasn't mine. I could have just dispensed with it and be like, it's not my thought. And I tried for like a half a second. Then my brain is like, hey, come on. We need answers, right?
Yeah.
And I actually Googled it. And for those that are interested, feces that are coming out, they're a little bit hotter than your internal temperature, which is odd to think about because they're coming from the belly, so you would think that would be like at most as hot as the. Okay. See,
yeah.
Scroll.
Okay.
It's not dragging.
Okay, but but that is an ADHD thing. Everyone has it to an extent, but like like for like it's just like the random things will remind you of things, and then like you'll be talking about one subject to somebody, and then you're like, you'll talk about angry walruses over here just because something reminds you of walruses, and then like they're like, bro, how'd you make that jump?
Right, dude. Fair, like a great example that I just having right now. You're just talking about walruses, right? Yeah. So my mind, right, just took a random like detour and they said, are walruses mammals? And my mind said, yeah, I think it's mammals. And then I was like, that means they probably have milk, which means I want to taste walrus cheese. Why? I don't, and all that happened in this like a split second as you talked about a walrus. And just that's how fast the mind just gets distracted and it just goes in all kinds of different tangents. Yeah. And I can only imagine, like, for someone that's already having to fight for concentration with ADHD, how much harder that is.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
Okay, so this actually might be telling you something earlier. So like, I started noticing like social stuff when I made it to like I guess high school and junior high, because that's when social cues and like all this other stuff like really starts to matter. You know?
Yeah.
So like me being able to like I was able to get along with the really weird kids that wanted to talk about like the random stuff that my brain would come up with, but like everyone else would be like, bro, how'd you get there?
Right.
Like I wasn't like ridiculed or bullied or anything like that.
Okay.
Like I had plenty of friends, so like nothing bad happened to me, but
Yeah.
definitely definitely like that was like, oh, like now that I look back, I'm like, oh, that's an ADHD thing. That explains a lot. Also like how I would like rotate through interests. Like I'd have people that would like, just again, small town Texas, like football, and I'd just be like, I'd be like into it for like maybe 2 to 3 months, and then I'm like, my brain's like, the dopamine rush is gone, bruh. We got to go somewhere else.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah. Let's see. Also, social cues were kind of a little bit of a different thing. Like, I still struggle with a little bit to this day because I've gotten better. But like, like sometimes, like especially when I was first starting to date, oh my gosh, like I know that's a problem for everybody. But like, like I would be just bombing and talking about things I shouldn't be talking about. With ADHD, and then I looking back at the reactions, I realized like. I think at the time I was mad they just didn't say, hey, yo, like I wasn't interested. But then like as I was looking back at it, I'm like, oh, this is what that body signal. Oh.
Yeah. So you're learning the social cues in different circumstances. So in dating, in hanging out with friends, and in other areas.
Yeah.
And like, do you know of other people that have a similar degree of ADHD, and like do you engage with them, like do you like talk and trying to figure out different ways that they handle their situation and how you can like rub some of that off?
So funny enough is if you are ADHD, you usually have a weird like statistical probability of like actually making friends that have like the same or some similar degree, but. And I've had a few friends that like had the same level of ADHD as me, but like mostly it's just been like to a lesser degree. So it's like they understand I have the problems, but they don't understand. But like for them, they can possibly work in their little pick up a little tool from their little toolbox. Okay, cool. I can go past this. For me, it's like push boulder.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Wow. That's I mean, there's a lot to learn. Right, and it's like we're constantly learning about ourselves, right, as we grow.
Amen.
And I feel like if you have ADHD or an extreme version of ADHD, not only are you going through the steps that normal quote unquote, whatever that means, people that don't have ADHD have to go through the growing and learning process, learning about themselves process. So you have to do that, and then on top of that, you have to figure out how to mitigate day in day out stuff with ADHD. So, where do you see like when you look at like in the future, does it get depressing to think about it? Like,
no,
meaning like so you've had to struggle with the effects of ADHD, and now you're here. And you're doing all kinds of great stuff, by the way. And like when you look out into the future, it's like, man, this battle with this battle of life, in addition to ADHD, is continuous. It's like it's never gonna stop. Does that like a doom and gloom type feeling, or is it more of like I'm learning how to do it. It's gonna be a learning process forever, and it is what it is.
For the most part, again, I was born with it. Like, I don't know what life is like without it. So, like, don't mind there's things I wish I could do, like my friends can do, like you, man. Like, you're always like trying to do 50 billion things at once, and like, even though you might not complete all of them, you'll get most of them done. If I tried doing that, it'd be like I'd fail at every one of them because I'd put too much on my plate,
Okay.
So just knowing my limitations is the first thing, Next thing, knowing that I can't just do any job, like even if it pays like super freaking well, like forcing my brain to engage in that job, even if I could force it to, it would not be the best employee. It would possibly be at the bottom tier because it's just not interested,
Yeah.
So like finding something that engages my brain, that allows me to do things, and also I find it's best if I don't have jobs that like really are emphasizing like quotas. So in other words, like you have to produce X amount at this point in time.
Yeah.
If I have to do those jobs, I'm just going to be like the most terrible employee ever. You know?
Yeah. So as we come to a close here, I just want to like summarize what you just said here, which is know your own limitations. Right?
Know your own limitations.
Don't take on more than what you can. Don't bite more than what you can chew.
Yeah. Don't be over ambitious, and make sure that if you know, like whenever you do get something, give yourself more time than you think you need.
Yeah.
Because you do not know if your brain's gonna work with you that day, or it's just gonna be a total butt.
Yeah. Yeah. So, if you were to take a trip down to see little Russ, or if you were to give an advice to a little one today, that's probably, let's say, 7, 8 years old. They don't really know, what this ADHD thing is. What would you advise them, or even someone in high school that's starting to figure this out?
Your brain works differently. There's nothing wrong with you. There's worse things you could have had. Not that this is not difficult.
Yeah.
Especially if you have it as a severe severity. But you can function. I think some of the most, just like most popular inventors and actors and actresses, they all have ADHD. So if they can do it, you can do it. But again, find something that interests you. Really learn your limitations and learn these organizational skills now, because another part of ADHD is just not being able to maintain organization. You have to find a way to build structure into your life, because you function like 5 times better off of structure than not.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So build in structure, learn tips and tricks, and know your limitations.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Russ. That's a great place to stop.
Yeah.
Know your limitations, everyone. I think that even applies to for sure if you don't have ADHD either. Knowing your limitations, taking on the responsibilities that you can carry, given your own understanding of yourself. Well, you've heard it here. Russ, thank you so much for coming to the Moses Kabandana Podcast. And I hope we have another conversation. I know we have another conversation that's booking.
We do. It's in the works.
It's in the works.
Yeah.
We're gonna be talking in a future episode. We're gonna be talking about biblical creatures, right?
Well, mythical creatures that can be made sense through biblical understanding.
Mythical creatures that can be made sense through biblical scriptures.
Yes.
Cool. Well, everybody, thank you so much for watching and listening, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Peace.